Welcome to another episode of the Men in Conversation series, a podcast series in collaboration with the Khaleesi Foundation and Justice Desk Africa.
I coach under 12 and under 14 for Standard FC in Crossroads. I think one of the things that made me get involved in that is Crossroads is a very bad story of young men getting involved in crime. I find that fathers don't come to matches, and I make sure that I'm there. I'm there for them all the time I can. So for me, mentoring and grooming them at that age to be able to be respectful to one another, I think that's what I would like to see. That's what I'd like to my influence to be.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you so much for sharing. That's so powerful, and it really attests to the power of sport. You know, to help shape and improve lives. Welcome to another episode of Men in Conversation. I'm your host, Edward Keenan Jacobs, and today I'm joined by Tembani Dule from Mosaic. You are the Safe Communities Coordinator. Phenomenal person. Unfortunately, a Manchester City supporter, which is not ideal as a United supporter, but we love across boundaries. And today we are chatting a bit about sports and the power of sport to end violence. We will be talking about how we can leverage the competencies and the things you learn when playing sport to improve your life and the lives of those around us. And we'll be talking about the power of icons and sporting icons in providing a good example for the boys and girls coming through. So I think the best place to start is at sports and really thinking about the power of sports to end violence broadly, but more specifically, the great sort of attributes, the great things that sports can teach young boys specifically, and how it can be off the field and really impact their lives off the field. So from your side, and I believe you coach under 12s and under 14s. So in your experience, what are some of the great benefits of playing sport, and how can that help boys outside of the game as well?
Cool. For me, I see that I have a gold of young men and people that I can influence. But also for them, they're seeing a community that they can always live with. People that supports them. And the importance of that is that they have one united dream. And that is in every match we need to win. So there's that focus. And that brings them together and make sure that they are disciplined in doing that. So for me, it instilled discipline. It instilled focus, and there's also a community. Even after the game, you'd see them working together. You'd see them playing street soccer together. So there is that relationship. There's that bond, which is really important. But I think growing up, sports icons. And for them, they need those kind of sport icons to be in the environment because they only see them on TV. And it's a dream for them. I would like to be that person, but I would like at some point those people to come to the communities and actually be a motivation to the boys, and not only on TV, but come to my area, come and see me, come to my space. So I would like that. I'd like to see that.
And I think you make a real powerful point there about having one goal, and we all pulling together and working towards this one thing of winning. And I think that's something that when I was growing up, when I played sports, and even if it was street football or whatever, I felt that sense of community. And I'd like you to talk a bit about that community that sports provides, because as a young man, especially as a man of color in South Africa, it's very difficult to find your tribe, to find people who get you and who are on the same page with you. So in your experience as a coach, how important is that safe space, that safe community for young boys to thrive?
It's beautiful and it's imperative because they could be doing any other thing, but they've committed themselves to this one thing, which is sport, that they like. And in all that, they're learning. They're learning about fair play, for example.
Yes.
That if you tackle someone, you go and apologize.
Yeah.
Or don't tackle someone in a way that you actually cripple them. And then they don't use violence in sport. So there is stuff that they need to move away from. So you teach them even when they lose, even losing, they become emotional, yes, but they understand. They still go and grab a hand of the team that win. Congratulations. So there are principles and values that are instilled within sports that young men are growing up understanding. And for me, that's beautiful. And it's beautiful to be in sports in that way.
Yeah, that is really lovely. And I again commend you for the work that you do. And I think for me and how I see sport, that the thing you mentioned there about when losing, and still being respectful. That's a big thing, because even me, when I'm watching United lose, 5-1 to Man City, I'm like, how do I still show up as a compassionate human being, even though at this moment I feel like I was robbed or the ref was doing this or whatever. So I think that is a really, really powerful point you make there about and that's a great life lesson, because in those difficult circumstances in life, whether it's at school or wherever in the community, we can still show up as a compassionate human being, as a respectful human being. And I think for me, that's one of the most important values that sport has taught me. And I can just imagine how you instill that within your boys.
We sit down and discuss what happened. For me, the beauty of it is that, okay, we'll understand we've lost. But what happens now? We need to go and plan. And there it's not a blame game. They understand it was a team effort. Even if we didn't score, maybe I wouldn't have scored even if it was me at that position. So they understand that. And it's beautiful to see that even then, they still want more. They're saying, I want to go play again. And I wish somehow we could have resources. I think that's another thing that's challenging in the communities that we live in. But it's beautiful, and it's a very good community to have young men around you, young men with a focus, and young men that grew in understanding discipline and values.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And you speak a lot about sort of sporting icons, and the respected people within the sporting community. And obviously we here with the Kolisi Foundation, and Sia Kolisi, a phenomenal icon of sport, of even social justice now that he has his foundation. And I think, what are your sort of thoughts on the role of sporting icons in inspiring young boys to one day hopefully reach the pinnacle as Sia has?
I think they have a very big role to play, and I think it's a call to them to come and be part of these young boys and actually speak against social ills and motivate them to be positive and focus in life. Because if young boys are not influenced in a positive way, someone will use that opportunity and influence them negatively. And because there isn't a sense of belonging. So I think it's fair, they need to play a very big role in coming and speaking out and actually visiting these small clubs to just show up and give motivation. And we can do a lot around ending gender-based violence by making sure that we groom very disciplined young men through sports. And actually, in the previous years, we had a tournament where we were saying we're kicking soccer to end violence.
I love that.
So it was beautiful to see young men getting involved in that. And it was a very beautiful day.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I think sport is such a great and accessible entry point for young boys into the gender-based violence conversation.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the narrative around GBV is that it's obviously an intense topic, and we know the predominant perpetrator are men, So it's very difficult to often get young men into the conversation. And the fact that you are using sport to bring them into the conversation and then through that to teach them, that's beautiful. Because if there's a ball, there'll be boys, And if you can use that then as an entry point and say, we're not only here to play football, but we're also here to learn the skills and to learn what is our role as young men in reducing violence and how do we be the change we want to be. How do we stand up and be a pillar of hope in our community for the other brothers that are maybe not within the game or within the sport. So I think in your experience, have you found that sport is a great way to bring boys in?
I think it's a beautiful way because even before we play, we first discuss.
Okay.
We have a topic,
yes.
and they're exposed to violence.
Yes.
So we try and talk to them about ways or what to do, even if it's bullying, what do you need to do if you're being bullied, because that's violence.
Yes.
Even if it happens at home, we give them tools and options, that there are options. You need to speak to someone, you need to talk about it, because it's affecting you, even if it's adult fighting in the house, but it's affecting you.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure you report that? And most times, as in dialogues that we have with men, you find that people are making an excuse that I grew up in violence.
Ooh.
But it's your choice. You have your own choice. You use your own options.
Yeah.
So it's not because you're exposed to that, then you have to decide to also impact violence. You have choices. You are aware about what's wrong. So what are the tools that we're giving to the boys? So that they don't do that. They are aware of themselves, they are aware of their own emotions, and they think before actually acting. And they take, they make informed decisions on how to respond or react to situations. So for me, I think that's really important. And having a pool of boys, I see that as a cream, bra. It's a cream, bra, and it's beautiful to see. For example, the boys that we're working with, even themselves stopping others when something happens and saying, no, you don't have to do that, because they're very much aware about what we instill in them or grooming them on.
Oh, that is powerful, and that's the goal, right? To have boys hold each other accountable. Because that's how we're going to change society, and that's how we're going to reduce this massive scourge of GBV. And I do think that sports has a massive role to play. So as we sort of speaking about the importance of sports, and especially sort of sporting icons in bringing to fore some of these pressing societal issues. And I'll paraphrase Siya Kolisi. He said a couple of years back in a magazine interview, he was saying that he cannot be satisfied with what he has done or how far he has come. Because if even one person is hungry, there is still work to be done. And I found that so powerful, because he's a rugby player. Why must he care about hunger or like children going hungry? But it just shows that sports people are firstly are human beings, right? And if we can encourage more sports people, more sporting icons to recognize that humanity within themselves, they are then able to connect their humanity to those who are in need. And you spoke a lot about needing more resources and having icons come into the communities. So someone like Siya who says that, what are your thoughts on that and how powerful someone like that could be in helping the work that you do?
That's very powerful, and I'm actually happy that he said that. But I'm also exposed to what the role that he's playing with regards to that being at Mosaic, and because he's donating food parcels to survivors of gender-based violence. So I'm exposed to that. So it was not just a saying.
Yeah,
What I really like. It was not just a saying, it's a saying with an action. And that's beautiful to see. And I would like to see that in most sports icon. Not just to talk, but to do something about it.
That's the one.
And take action.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that. But I'm grateful that actually he decided to follow his words and then do action. Yeah.
Let's talk more action. Eh? That's a brilliant one. Yeah.
Yes, I think so. I think if we were to just talk about gender-based violence and not really do something on the ground, then we'll be fighting a losing battle. I think action is more important. For me.
And sort of like, on topic, but sort of just, a bit parallel to it. You work with a lot of gender-based violence survivors with your organization, Mosaic. And at Justice Desk Africa, we also have a project called the Mokodo Project. Which works with young girl survivors of rape and other forms of gender-based violence. And in the rolling out of this project, we realized that physical movement is so important, right? And you can equip them, you can empower them, but when you involving the whole body and you are using this idea of healing for movement, we find that it just clicks, and we see these young women just growing, They have the skills, they have the sort of knowledge, but once we involve that whole body, the whole sort of all-encompassing healing, we see so much more progress.
That's beautiful.
So I'm curious to hear into your sort of line of work, and with your boys specifically, you say they also experience a lot of violence and stuff. And I know when I was on the football pitch, I almost leave my problems at the line, And I'm curious to hear, like, when you see these boys on the pitch, despite the circumstances they might come from, how are they on the pitch? Are they carefree? Do they enjoy themselves? And like sort of, it's this space of, here, there's one goal. We leave all the GBV, all the violence, all the bullying at the door, and here we're just going to play this game.
It's very interesting when you sit down with them and you want to set a squad for the day, and everybody else put up their hands because they want to be in action. It's beautiful. And it's always challenging who to choose. But yes, everybody else forgets what they're coming from or where they're coming from because they only have one focus. And even before the games, they have these songs that they sing together. So it's just beautiful to be with those boys, and I just love it. I just love it. And I know some of them are coming from difficult backgrounds. Some of them don't have playing talks, for example, so they use old takers to play. But that's okay. That's okay. We do with what we can. So it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful to see them.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
I can feel your passion. I can feel your love, and I hope that the audience listening and watching feels that too. And if any of them are moved to come and support and help out, please do so. And I really also want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And I think it was Nelson Mandela who said, "Sports has the power to change the world." And I think that is something now from this conversation that I'm even more firm in. And I think we can really leverage sports and the skills we learn through sports to help change lives.
Definitely. Definitely. I just want to say, for example, even if for example, I'll use rugby, for example. If there's rugby matches, you can see how people are, which is a proof that it really unites us. Even in stadiums, even in sports parks, people have one focus. We are behind our team.
We're there,
We're there, we're behind you. We want you to win. Even just one goal, you see everybody screaming, jumping up. So it really unites us, which is really true.
It really is.
And sports really can change the world.
Oh, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks,
I really love this conversation.
I enjoyed this too.
Fantastic. And I'm sure the audience has too. Thank you again, everyone, for joining another episode of the Men in Conversation podcast series. We really appreciate your time. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and the challenge I have for you is to share this with at least one person, because some of the information and some of the chats and conversation we've had are really, really powerful, and I think someone else could also learn from it. So thank you so much, and have a fantastic rest of your day.